What if I told you the key to winning isn't hard work or luck, it's pretending you've already won? Sounds crazy, right? But what happens next will change how you see success forever. Think about the last time you felt unstoppable. Maybe it was a job interview where you walked in like you owned the place, or a first date where you didn't overthink, just knew they'd like you. That confidence, it wasn't luck, it was your brain tricking itself into victory. And today we're breaking down how to use that trick on purpose. Here's the thing, most people wait for proof before they believe they can succeed. I'll be confident after I get the promotion. I'll feel rich after I hit 6 figures. But that's backwards. The winners, they don't wait. They decide first. They act as if it's already theirs. And that's when the world starts bending to match their belief. Your brain can't tell real from imagined. Close your eyes and picture biting into a lemon. Really do it. Feel that sharp, sour tang hitting your tongue? Your mouth might have watered a little. That's the crazy part. Your brain just reacted to something that isn't even real. It treated a thought like it was happening right now. Now imagine applying that same power to your goals. What if you could trick your brain into believing you've already succeeded? Not in a delusional way, but in a way that rewires how you see opportunities, how you carry yourself, even how luck seems to find you. This isn't about positive thinking. It's about experiencing success in your mind before it shows up in your life. Think about the last time you were nervous before a big meeting. Your heart raced, your palms got sweaty, all because your brain was convinced danger was coming. But what if you flipped that? What if instead of rehearsing disaster, you rehearsed victory? Your brain would start priming you for that instead. Athletes do this. They don't just practice physically, they close their eyes and feel themselves crossing the finish line first, over and over, until their muscles and nerves remember it like it's already happened. Here's how to use this. Every morning, before you check your phone or get lost in the day, take 2 minutes to live in the future you want. Don't just visualize it, embody it. If your goal is to be a great public speaker, stand up right now and deliver your imaginary TED Talk. Feel the mic in your hand, the crowd's energy, the way your voice sounds confident and clear. Do this daily and something wild happens. Your brain starts scanning for ways to make it real. You'll notice articles on speaking tips. You'll volunteer for presentations you'd normally avoid. You'll start speaking up in meetings without overthinking, because your mind's been there. It's not unfamiliar territory anymore. But here's where most people mess up. They treat this like a one-time manifestation trick. They'll imagine their dream life once, then go back to scrolling and complaining. That's like planting a seed and expecting a tree by noon. This works when it's consistent. When you're not just fantasizing, but living from that imagined reality. If you want to be a best-selling author, don't just daydream about holding your book. Write every morning as if you're already the writer you admire. Sign your emails with author of your book title before it's published. Talk about your characters like they're real, because to your brain they are. The more you blur the line between future and now, the faster your actions align with that version of you. And this isn't just theory. Studies on placebo effects prove it. Patients given sugar pills but told their painkillers often feel real relief. Their brains trigger actual healing responses based on belief alone. Your mind is that powerful. So why not use it? If you're stuck in a job you hate, start asking yourself, what would the CEO version of me do today? Not in 10 years, today. That version might delegate more, speak up in strategy meetings, or take a course to fill skill gaps. Do those things now, and suddenly you're not waiting for a promotion, you're living the promotion before it arrives. The resistance you'll feel is normal. Your logical mind will scream, this is fake, you haven't earned this yet. But that's the old programming talking. The truth, no one earns confidence before they succeed. They borrow it from their future self. They act as if, and the world eventually agrees. So start small. If you're shy, walk into a room today like you're the most interesting person there. Not arrogantly, just unshakably sure of your worth. Watch how people lean in. That's the first clue your brain's starting to believe its own trick. The as-if principle. Ever notice how some people just own a room without saying a word? It's not their clothes or their title, it's how they move. Like they've already got a seat at the table, even if they walked in off the street. That's the as-if principle in action. They're not waiting for permission to be important. They're acting important, and the world mirrors it back. This isn't about being fake. It's about practicing the version of you that's already won. Think of it like a costume. When you put on a police uniform, something shifts in how you stand, how you speak. You feel like authority, so people treat you like authority. Now apply that to your goal. If you want to be a leader, start dressing like one now, not just physically, mentally. How would a leader handle your current challenges? They wouldn't obsess over petty office drama. They'd focus on solutions, on lifting the team. So do that today, even if your business card doesn't reflect it yet. Here's the key. The as-if principle works because it bypasses doubt. When you act like you're already who you want to be, you stop asking, am I good enough? And start asking, what's next? That subtle shift changes everything. Take money, for example. Most people wait to have money before they think like it's theirs. They say, when I make 6 figures, I'll start investing. But the people who have 6 figures, they started investing first. They treated every $10 like it was $10,000, researching, making smart choices, practicing abundance before it showed up. Try this experiment. For 1 week, live as if you're the person who's already achieved your biggest goal. If you want to be fit, eat and move like someone who loves their body, not as punishment, but as identity. Fit people don't dread the gym, they miss it when they skip. So tell yourself, I'm the kind of person who enjoys moving. Then notice how your brain looks for proof. Maybe you'll take the stairs without thinking or choose water over soda because that's what I do now. This works because behavior follows identity. Most people try to force behavior change through willpower. I should work out, but it never sticks because their identity hasn't changed. They still see themselves as someone who hates exercise. Flip it. Decide first, I'm a healthy person. Then let your actions flow from that. You'll find yourself craving salads not because you have to, but because that's who you are now. The same goes for confidence. People wait to feel confident before they speak up or take risks. But confidence isn't a prerequisite, it's a result. Think about the first time you drove a car. You weren't confident before you started. You got confident by driving. So if you want to be more charismatic, don't wait to feel it. Walk into your next social event as if you're the most likable person there. Smile first, ask questions, assume people want to hear what you say. Even if your knees are shaking inside, act relaxed. Within minutes, your brain will catch up. Wait, we're doing this? Okay. And the real confidence follows. Here's the hardest part. You'll feel like a fraud at first. That's normal. Every great actor feels silly on their first audition. But the more you live the role, the more natural it becomes. Start small. If you're building a business, introduce yourself as an entrepreneur. Not I'm trying to start something. Say it until you believe it. Then watch how opportunities appear. Clients will take you seriously. Partners will trust you. Ideas will flow faster. Not because you lied, but because you committed to the truth before it materialized. The as-if principle isn't magic. It's momentum. Every time you act from your future self, you're pulling that reality closer. So ask yourself, what's one thing the already won version of you would do differently today? Do that, then do it again tomorrow.
Fear is a liar. Fear is the quietest, most convincing liar you'll ever meet. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It waits until you're about to take a step forward, then leans in and says, what if you fail? And here's the worst part. It sounds so reasonable. It disguises itself as logic, as caution, as being realistic. But let's call it what it really is, an illusion, a trick. Because the truth is, failure doesn't hurt nearly as much as regret. Regret sticks around. Regret whispers, what if you had tried for years? Failure is just feedback. It's a lesson wrapped in discomfort. So how do you shut fear up? You stop arguing with it. You stop trying to convince yourself you won't fail. Because here's the secret. Fear doesn't care about facts. It thrives on uncertainty. The only way to beat it is to act like it doesn't exist. To move forward as if you've already won. Because when you do that, something shifts. You stop asking, can I do this, and start asking, how will I do this? That tiny shift in language changes everything. One keeps you stuck in doubt. The other forces your brain to find solutions. Think about the last time you were scared to do something. Ask for a raise. Start a business. Tell someone how you really feel. What happened when you finally did it? Chances are the fear beforehand was worse than the actual outcome. Even if things didn't go perfectly, you survived. You learned. And most importantly, you proved fear wrong. That's the key. Fear's power isn't in the thing it's warning you about. Its power is in making you believe the warning is real. But what if you stopped believing? Here's how you do it. The next time fear whispers, "What if you fail?" answer it. Say, "Then I'll figure it out." Because that's the truth. You will figure it out. Humans are built to adapt, to problem solve, to recover. Fear wants you to think failure is the end. It's not. It's just a detour. So act as if you already know you'll succeed. Not because you're guaranteed to, but because believing you will changes how you show up. It makes you bolder, more creative, more persistent. And that's what actually creates success. The people who achieve big things aren't fearless. They just don't let fear make their decisions. They feel it and do it anyway. They pretend they're confident until their brain catches up. And eventually it does. Because the more you act as if fear doesn't control you, the less power it has. It's like a bully. It backs down when you stop flinching. So start small. Do one thing today that scares you, even a little. Send that email. Make that call. Say no to something that drains you. Every time you do, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching it that fear is just noise, not a prophecy. And over time, the whispers get quieter. The doubts fade. Because you've proved them wrong too many times. The real risk isn't failing. It's letting fear convince you not to try.
The million-dollar mindset. Rich people don't just have money. They think differently about money. That's the real secret. It's not about the zeros in your bank account. It's about the beliefs in your head. Because here's the truth. You don't get rich and then start thinking like a rich person. You start thinking like a rich person, and that's how you get rich. What does that mean exactly? It means acting as if the money is already yours. Not in a reckless way, in a strategic way. Rich people don't wait until they have $1 million to invest, negotiate, or take smart risks. They do those things first. Because they see money differently. To them, money isn't something you hoard, it's something you use. It's a tool, a resource. And most importantly, it's already theirs. They don't think, "I can't afford this." They think, "How can I afford this?" That shift changes everything. Because when you believe money is available to you, you start spotting opportunities everywhere. You see ways to earn, to save, to grow, things you'd miss if you were stuck in scarcity mode. Scarcity says there's never enough. Abundance says there's always more. And guess what? Both mindsets are right. Your reality will match whatever you believe. So how do you adopt the million-dollar mindset? Start small. Act as if you're already financially free. Not by spending money you don't have, by thinking like someone who knows money will always come. For example, if you got a $500 bonus today, what would you do with it? Most people would spend it on something they've been wanting. Nothing wrong with that. But someone with $1 million mindset would ask, "How can I turn this $500 into $5,000? They'd invest it, use it to learn a new skill, or put it toward a side hustle. Not because they're greedy, because they expect money to grow. That's the key. Rich people don't see money as something to spend. They see it as something to multiply. And that belief shapes their habits. They negotiate bills not because they're cheap, but because they respect money. They track their spending not out of fear, but out of awareness. They invest early and often, not because they're sure it'll pay off, but because they act like it will. Here's the best part. You don't need money to start thinking this way. In fact, you have to start thinking this way before the money comes, because your mindset attracts your reality. If you believe you're broke, you'll stay broke. If you believe you're someone who always finds a way, you will. So try this today. For 1 week, act as if you're already financially free. Make decisions from that place. If a bill feels too high, negotiate it not from desperation, but from the confidence of someone who knows their worth. If you see an opportunity to learn something valuable, invest in it, not as an expense, but as a future return. And most importantly, stop saying, "I can't afford it." Start asking, "How can I afford it?" The money will follow the mindset, always. The body follows the mind. Your body isn't just along for the ride. It's taking constant orders from your thoughts. Every slumped shoulder, every nervous fidget, every hesitant step is your mind's way of telegraphing its doubts to the world. But here's the powerful flip side. When you change your physical posture, you can literally change your mental state in seconds. It's not magic, it's biology. When you stand like a champion, your brain receives signals that say we must be winning and starts pumping out the chemicals to match. Testosterone increases. Cortisol decreases. Your breathing deepens. Your vision sharpens. Suddenly, you're not pretending to be confident. You're becoming confident through the simplest physical act of standing tall. This isn't just motivational fluff, it's hard science. Harvard researchers found that just 2 minutes of power posing standing like you've already won increases risk tolerance by 28% and lowers stress hormones by 25%. That's the equivalent of a chemical confidence injection, free, instant, and available anytime. Think about what this means for your daily life. Before that big meeting, instead of nervously scrolling through notes, you could be backstage or in the bathroom stall, physically transforming into your most powerful self. Before asking for that raise, instead of rehearsing your pitch while slumped over your desk, you could be walking the hallway like you already got the yes. The words you say matter, but the body you say them with matters more. Most people get this backwards. They wait to feel confident before they stand confidently. But the truth is, confidence follows action. It rarely precedes it. The world's top performers know this secret. Watch any elite athlete before competition. They're not sitting nervously. They're stretching tall, moving with purpose, occupying space like they own it. They're not waiting to feel ready. They're using their bodies to manufacture readiness. You can do the same right now. Wherever you're sitting or standing as you read this, adjust your posture. Lift your chest. Roll your shoulders back. Feel how instantly your breathing changes. Notice how your mental state shifts slightly but noticeably. That's the mind-body connection at work. The implications of this are enormous. Every morning, you have a choice. Start your day collapsed in on yourself like you're already defeated, or claim your space like someone who expects to win. When you choose the latter, something remarkable happens. The world starts treating you differently. People respond to your energy. Opportunities seem to appear, not because the universe magically changed overnight, but because you changed how you move through it. Your expanded posture makes you more visible, both physically and metaphorically. You catch the eye of decision makers. You command attention without demanding it, all because you understood one simple truth. The body follows the mind, but sometimes the fastest way to change your mind is to first change your body. This works in reverse too. Notice what happens when you're feeling doubtful or insecure. Your body naturally contracts. You make yourself smaller. Your energy collapses inward. Now imagine maintaining that posture for weeks, months, years. You're literally training your nervous system to associate challenge with shrinking rather than expanding. No wonder so many people struggle with confidence. They've been practicing insecurity in their muscles and bones every single day. The good news? This is completely reversible starting today. You don't need years of therapy to rebuild confidence. You can start with 2 minutes of standing like you mean it. The more you do this, the more your default state becomes one of quiet assurance rather than anxious hesitation. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, begin each morning with 2 minutes of power posing. Stand like you just won gold. Breathe like someone who owns the room. Then carry that posture into your day. Notice how people respond differently. Notice how you think differently. Most importantly, notice how opportunities you might have missed suddenly become visible. Your body isn't just along for the ride. It's the vehicle carrying you toward your dreams. Treat it like a champion's body and watch what your mind becomes capable of believing and achieving. Success leaves clues. Winners aren't magical beings who accessed some secret knowledge the rest of us can't comprehend. They're simply people who paid attention to the patterns of those who came before them. Every extraordinary achievement in history leaves behind a trail of breadcrumbs, specific ways of thinking, working, and being that anyone can study and emulate. The difference between those who make it and those who don't often comes down to this. Some look at successful people and think they're special, while others look and think what specifically makes them special and how can I develop that. This is where most people go wrong in their learning. They focus entirely on the technical skills, the guitar chords, the sales scripts, the coding languages, while completely missing the mindset, habits, and daily rituals that make those skills actually useful in the real world. If you want to be a great public speaker, you can memorize all the speech techniques in the world. But if you don't study how the masters prepare mentally, how they handle nerves, how they structure their days around peak performance, you'll always be missing the most important pieces. Success leaves clues not just in what people do, but in how they think while they're doing it. Take any field you admire and look deeper than the surface. Great chefs don't just know recipes. They've cultivated a specific relationship with ingredients, with time, with failure. Top investors don't just follow numbers. They've trained their minds to see opportunities where others see only risk. The best teachers don't just know their subject. They understand how to make complex ideas irresistibly compelling. These are the real secrets worth studying. Not just what successful people know, but how they approach knowing itself. Their mental frameworks, their decision-making filters, their habits of mind that consistently produce exceptional results. Here's how to put this into practice. Choose one person who's achieved what you want to achieve. Study them like a detective. Don't just look at their big wins, examine their daily routines. What time do they wake up? How do they structure their work? What do they read? How do they handle setbacks? What beliefs do they consistently express? You'll start noticing patterns, certain ways of thinking and acting that keep appearing across different successful people in your field. These aren't coincidences, they're clues. The more you spot them, the more you can build them into your own life. But here's the critical part. You must study with the right mindset. Most people approach this looking for tips and tricks, surface-level hacks they can bolt onto their existing lives. That's like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation meant for a shed. Real transformation comes when you're willing to examine and upgrade your fundamental ways of thinking and being. When you stop asking what do they do that I can copy and start asking how do they see the world differently than I do. That's where the gold is, because skills can be learned relatively quickly, but the mental models of successful people, how they process information, how they frame challenges, how they maintain motivation, these are the real game changers. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about recognizing that success leaves clues in the form of repeatable patterns of thought and action. Your job is to spot those patterns, understand why they work, then adapt them authentically to who you are. The guitarist who only learns chords will plateau quickly. The one who studies how great musicians think about music, how they approach practice, how they connect with an audience, that's the one who accelerates past the competition. Because they're not just learning to play, they're learning to think like masters think. And that makes all the difference. Start today. Pick one person whose success you admire and commit to studying them deeply this week. Go beyond their highlight reel. Find interviews where they discuss their process. Read biographies that reveal their daily habits. Notice not just what they achieved, but how they became the kind of person who could achieve it. Then ask yourself the most powerful question of all. If I thought and acted more like this, what might become possible for me? The answers will surprise you, because success leaves clues everywhere for those willing to look properly. Your future self is waiting in the patterns of those who've already walked the path. All you have to do is follow the trail. The mirror technique. There's a powerful transformation that happens when you stand in front of a mirror and declare your success as if it's already happened. This isn't just positive thinking, it's neural reprogramming. When you look yourself in the eye and say, I crushed that presentation with absolute conviction, something remarkable occurs in your brain. Neural pathways begin firing as if the experience was real. Your subconscious mind, which can't distinguish between vivid imagination and actual experience, starts accepting this as truth. This is why elite performers across every field use some version of this technique, because it works on a biological level to reshape your self-concept. The magic lies in the past tense phrasing. Saying, I will be successful keeps the achievement in the distant future. But declaring I am successful feels like a lie when you're just starting. The sweet spot is, I became successful. It tricks your brain into accepting the outcome as inevitable. When you repeatedly affirm your goals in this way while making direct eye contact with yourself, you create what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, a gap between your current reality and the reality you're describing. Your mind will work tirelessly to close that gap, pulling your actions into alignment with your declarations. This is why you'll often find yourself unconsciously taking steps toward your goal after consistent mirror work. Your brain is simply trying to resolve the contradiction between what you're saying and what's actually happening. The physical sensations matter too. That tingling on your skin when the words feel particularly powerful, that's your nervous system responding to the new programming. It's a sign that your subconscious is accepting the message. Pay attention to these moments. They indicate when the belief is truly taking root. Some days the words will feel hollow, other days they'll resonate deeply. Both experiences are valuable. The hollow days show you where your hidden doubts lie, while the powerful days reveal when you've broken through a mental barrier. This is why consistency matters more than intensity with this practice. 5 minutes daily creates more transformation than 1 hour weekly. Timing amplifies the effect. Doing this first thing in the morning sets your mental tone for the day, while evening repetitions help your subconscious process the ideas during sleep. The combination is devastatingly effective. Your dreams may even begin reflecting your new self-image, a sure sign the work is taking hold at a deep level. The key is to speak with emotional intensity, not just robotic repetition. Say it like you mean it. Say it like you're testifying to your future under oath. The more you can feel the truth of the words as you speak them, the faster the transformation occurs. This technique works because it combines 3 powerful forces: visualization, affirmation, and embodiment. You're not just thinking about your success or saying words, you're seeing yourself as successful while declaring it with your whole physical presence. The mirror reflects back not just your image, but your belief in yourself. When you consistently face that reflection and declare your victories as done deals, you're essentially rehearsing your future until it becomes your present. The version of you in the mirror isn't a fantasy, it's a preview. And with enough repetition, your mind will find ways to make that preview your reality. Stop waiting for permission. The most dangerous lie we tell ourselves is, "I'm not ready yet." It's the silent killer of dreams, the excuse that sounds so reasonable but leads to lifetimes of regret. Here's the brutal truth nobody tells you. Nobody ever feels completely ready before they achieve something great. The people who accomplish extraordinary things aren't fundamentally different from you. They just understood one critical principle: readiness doesn't precede action, it follows it. You become ready by doing, not by waiting. Consider this: every skill you've ever developed in life, you learned by doing it poorly at first. Walking, talking, riding a bike, you didn't wait until you were ready. You fell, you stumbled, you sounded ridiculous, and through that process you became competent. Somewhere along the way, we unlearn this natural progression. We start believing we need permission, credentials, or some imaginary threshold of preparation before we can begin. But the most successful people in any field share one trait: they started before they were ready. They understood that the feeling of readiness is actually a byproduct of action, not a prerequisite. The world doesn't reward those who are most qualified, it rewards those who are most decisive. Opportunities don't go to the person who's perfectly prepared, they go to the person who showed up and took them. This isn't to say preparation isn't important, it's to recognize that there's a point where more preparation becomes procrastination in disguise. The magic happens when you cross the threshold from "I need to learn more" to "I'm going to figure this out as I go." That's when real growth begins. Look at any industry disruptor, any groundbreaking artist, any successful entrepreneur. They all had one thing in common: they acted without waiting for validation. The author who self-published before getting a book deal, the entrepreneur who started with a simple website, the artist who put work out into the world before feeling good enough, these are the people who shaped the future. Not because they were more talented than everyone else, but because they understood that permission is something you grant yourself, not something the world bestows upon you. The fear of being found out as inexperienced is universal, but the solution isn't more experience, it's reframing how you view your current position. Every master was once a beginner who refused to quit. Every expert was once an amateur who kept showing up. The difference between where you are and where you want to be isn't time or talent. It's simply the willingness to act without waiting for some imaginary green light that will never come. The perfect time doesn't exist. The perfect conditions don't exist. The only thing that's real is your decision to begin. This doesn't mean being reckless. It means being courageous enough to start where you are with what you have. The most successful people aren't those who never doubt themselves. They're those who move forward despite the doubt. They understand that confidence comes from action, not the other way around. Each step you take builds your belief in yourself far more than any amount of preparation ever could. The person you're waiting to become, they're not coming to give you permission. That person is created through the very actions you're hesitating to take. So here's your challenge. Identify one thing you've been putting off until you feel ready. Now ask yourself, what's the smallest possible version of that you could start today? Not the perfect version, not the complete version, just a beginning. Then do it. Then do it again tomorrow. The readiness you're waiting for will meet you along the way, not at the starting line. The universe doesn't give permission, it responds to action. And every great journey begins with the simple decision to stop waiting and start. The 24-hour test: imagine waking up tomorrow as the person who's already achieved your biggest dream, not pretending for an hour or putting on an act for others, but truly living an entire day from that completed version of yourself. This is the 24-hour test, and it might be the most revealing experiment you ever conduct with your own potential. The rules are simple. For one full day, you act, think, speak, and make decisions exactly as you would if your most important goal was already accomplished. Not in some distant future, but right now. The writer doesn't dream about publishing. They wake up and work like someone under contract. The entrepreneur doesn't fantasize about success. They make calls and decisions like the CEO they intend to become. The artist doesn't wait for inspiration. They create like their work is already in demand. What makes this exercise so powerful isn't the actions themselves, but the mindset shift required to sustain them for 24 consecutive hours. You'll quickly discover where your self-concept hasn't caught up with your aspirations. Maybe you'll notice resistance when trying to work with the focus of a professional, or discomfort when speaking with the authority of someone established in their field. These moments of friction are gold. They reveal the exact gaps between where you are and where you want to be. Most personal development approaches try to build confidence first and action second. The 24-hour test flips this. By acting first, you force your mind to reconcile the new evidence with old beliefs. Pay special attention to what feels surprisingly natural during your test day. These are clues to your authentic strengths. When the writer discovers they actually enjoy the discipline of morning pages, or the entrepreneur finds themselves naturally thinking strategically about growth, these aren't random occurrences. They're signs of alignment with your true capabilities. The activities that feel forced or exhausting are equally valuable data points. They might indicate areas needing development or potential mismatches between your goals and genuine interests. The magic question to ask at day's end, what parts of this felt completely natural, helps identify the behaviors and mindsets you'll want to cultivate permanently. This experiment works because it bypasses our normal resistance to change. When we tell ourselves this is just for 24 hours, we give permission to try on radical new versions of ourselves without the pressure of permanent commitment. Yet something fascinating often happens in that compressed time frame. People frequently experience breakthroughs they've been chasing for years. The aspiring public speaker who spends one full day communicating like a professional often discovers untapped confidence. The would-be entrepreneur making decisions for 24 hours as if they're running an established business frequently uncovers strategic thinking abilities they didn't know they possessed. The temporary nature of the test creates a psychological safety net that paradoxically allows for greater risk-taking. The most valuable outcome of this exercise isn't what you accomplish during those 24 hours, it's the blueprint it provides for your real transformation. Those moments when the act felt most authentic, when the new behaviors flowed most naturally, these are signposts showing your path forward. They reveal the version of yourself that already exists within, waiting to be expressed consistently. After completing the test, your job is simple. Identify which of those successful behaviors you can begin incorporating today at whatever scale is possible. Maybe it's dedicating 30 minutes each morning to write like a professional author, even if you have a full-time job. Perhaps it's making one business decision daily with the confidence of an established CEO. The 24-hour test gives you both the vision and the practical starting points. All that remains is the courage to continue. The ripple effect. When you begin carrying yourself as someone who's already succeeded, something remarkable happens. The world starts responding differently. This isn't magic or wishful thinking. It's the natural consequence of changed energy. People sense confidence before they hear accomplishments. Opportunities gravitate toward those who appear to already be in demand. This is the ripple effect, where your internal state creates external reactions that amplify your success. Think about how you instinctively respond to someone who enters a room like they belong there versus someone who seems unsure of their place. Without knowing anything about either person, you make immediate judgments that influence how you interact with them. Now imagine being the person who consistently generates that positive assumption in others. The ripple effect explains why some individuals seem to attract luck and opportunities while others with equal talent struggle. It's not about manipulating perceptions, it's about embodying the version of yourself that's already achieved what you desire. When you do this authentically, you create a gravitational pull that draws resources, connections, and possibilities toward you. The entrepreneur who acts like their business is thriving begins attracting better clients, The artist who presents their work like it's valuable finds people willing to pay for it. The professional who carries themselves like an authority gets treated as one. In each case, the external world is simply mirroring back the energy being projected. This principle works because human beings are wired to respond to confidence cues. We unconsciously look for signals that tell us who to trust, respect, and value. When you provide those signals consistently through your posture, speech patterns, decision-making, and energy, people's responses begin creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Doors open not because you knocked louder, but because you approached them like someone accustomed to entering. People listen not because you demanded attention, but because you spoke like someone worth hearing. The ripple effect turns small internal shifts into significant external changes through countless daily interactions that each reinforce your new reality. What makes this especially powerful is that it operates regardless of your current circumstances. You don't need a title to think like a leader. You don't require a published book to work like a professional writer. The moment you begin operating from this elevated mindset, you start attracting corresponding results. This isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about recognizing that you contain multitudes and choosing to express the version of yourself most aligned with your aspirations. The more consistently you do this, the more the world reflects it back to you in tangible ways. The practical application is straightforward but requires daily practice. Begin your morning by asking, how would the version of me who's already succeeded move through today? Then consciously adopt those mannerisms, speech patterns, and decision-making approaches. Notice how people respond differently to this energy. Pay attention to opportunities that seem to appear out of nowhere. They're actually responses to your changed vibration. Most importantly, observe how your own thought patterns begin shifting to match this successful version of yourself. The ripple starts internally but quickly extends far beyond you, touching every interaction and coloring every opportunity. Ultimately, this isn't about manipulating reality. It's about recognizing that you're always creating ripples with your energy, whether consciously or not. Most people leave this process to chance, allowing their external circumstances to dictate their internal state. Those who achieve extraordinary success reverse this equation. They let their internal state reshape their external world. The quality of your ripples determines the quality of what flows back to you. When you consistently project the energy of someone who's already won, the universe has no choice but to agree. The secret isn't just believing you can win, it's acting like you have. Every major breakthrough in history started as someone's delusion. The difference between crazy and visionary, the visionary lived like it was real first. So here's your challenge. Pick one goal. For the next week, be the person who's already achieved it. Think, speak, and act from that place. Don't wait for proof, create it. Then watch how reality catches up.